Alright, another draft physics video production. Well, whatever. Presentation. Anyway, Ken Wheeler video, I think. Maybe we'll read some of the comments in his comment section. Yeah. Lots of smart people there. Yeah, for no other purpose than this is what people gravitate to, is this mush physics. Meta, mushy, nonsense, babble. But people are idiots. So I bet you there's no physicist watching Ken's videos. So anyway, it's just dismal. Ugh, shudder. Anyway, so I made a video. Okay, I started this video and read comments, and the stupid Gelfeld was in there, and it's bringing up subjects that just not worth bringing up. So I figure I'll just put it in an unlisted video, and if you want to see that video, I wouldn't recommend it. There's no real point in it. Comments are stupid. No point. But anyway, I'll put a link in the description. So if you're really desperate, must see more, then go ahead and watch it. Otherwise, and if you choose to comment, I'm just going to block comments. I'm not going to get distracted by this, these other subjects. There's some subjects you just can't talk about. People are too irrational. So just leave it at that. So anyway, on to Ken and such, so forth and
whatnot. Hello. A lot of people think time is a thing. Human beings, of course, were always cognizant of time. Like, I'm getting older. How long?
Yes, we all recognize that there's this thing happening, okay, that events happen, processes, and we're just processing. And that processes don't happen instantaneously. They don't all happen at once. They happen in order. Okay, there's an order to the rock falling down the hill. It doesn't get to the bottom first and then hit this spot and then do that. No, there's an order, and it's a process, and it takes something called what we call time, because it's not happening instantaneously. It's not happening without consuming some sort of time, just as it takes time to move from one place to another. It doesn't happen instantaneously. That's not how the universe works. It doesn't transport things. It doesn't do any of that crap. And so we have a thing we call time. It's just a function. It's just a byproduct of the fact that it takes time for things to go from here to there. And that's all. And the universe is full of little stuff moving, and it takes time for the stuff to move, and it moves in a procedure that's under these rules. Okay, it doesn't get where it's going and then back up and go, and none of that stuff happens. This is the way the universe works. Completely, like, the most uncomplicated thing happening is time, and they want to make it complicated. It's just so fucking stupid. They can't even get this one right. It's just a function. There's no dimension. There's no any of that crap. It just happens that it takes time for things to happen. Yeah.
We wait for stuff, so just like fish, we swim in a sea of time. And so what we've done,
There's no sea of time. There's other fish. They, are limited in how fast they can move to, and because everything's limited in how fast it can go, there's something called time. That's it.
irrationally and unintelligently, and due to lack of wisdom, which most human beings suffer very greatly thereof.
Yes, and you likewise suffer from all kinds of excesses of...
But we've reified time. Reification, just like a shadow.
So this stupid word, reify, which just means that somehow we've distilled time out of the complexity of the universe, and we've distilled time into some sort of thing. No, it can't be distilled. It's not a thing. It's a description of something that's not a thing. It's a description of the fact that things don't move instantaneously. That's it. There's time because things don't happen instantaneously. The end. The subject's over.
We reify shadows. We think there's something, and of course there's nothing. We're merely an absence of light. Time, of course...
So again, they're not merely the absence of light in the sense that they're clearly a distinction. There's a distinction between getting hit in the face and not getting hit in the face. So you don't say not getting hit in the face is nothing, when if you're in an environment where everybody's getting hit in the face, you're clearly different. You're clearly something different than what's happening. So, I mean, it's silly not to recognize there's a difference between having cancer and not having cancer or any of these kind of things. You can identify the difference. So why pretend that we are cheating by recognizing the difference? Of course, it's the logical thing to do is to recognize the difference. Not to say something's nothing. It's something by comparison.
It has no place within the cosmos. It is only a measure. We're only cognizant of it because we suffer due to it. And of course, the ancient phrase, both from the Greeks and the Indians, ever present, and it's something everybody should consider, is that when this is present, that is present.
So that makes no sense either. So how does that have anything to do with time? When this is present, that is present. There's no evidence that's happening in the universe. There's just evidence that everything has properties. So you can't get around that. And one of the properties everything has is a speed limit. Except for your wooers who believe in some special thing out there. The superluminals.
This time is only a measure of magnitudes. Time does not exist.
Again, this idiotic magnitudes, what are you throwing that in there for? No, it's a measure of process. Process takes time, and we know that the fastest little bit of the process is apparently doing something like the speed of light, and there's nothing processing any faster than that. There's no piece of the universe moving faster than that.
Importantly so, time both is and can be polarized, and it can also be...
So again, does it make any sense? Polarized time. What the fuck could that possibly mean? I mean, how can anybody with a reasoning mind make that make any sense? Polarized time. It's right here in the title. What the fuck could that mean? It's an insane statement.
Skipped over, kind of like you skip a stone across the water, it will actually hop, it'll make very little contact with the water. And of course, we can actually define this anyway. Of course,
so he's saying that you can skip time, like a stone. You can skip it off the surface and somehow evade it. Yeah, evade the processing time. You can have truly instant coffee. I don't think so.
Doesn't care how we define it. It's called electrokinematic effect.
Electrokinematic effect. So just more jargon. I mean, how the fuck does anybody, again, how does a rational brain turn that into a goddamn anything? Just mush.
Yeah, these are neat books, by the way. This is actually my second copy. My first copy fell apart, and I kept having to tape it over and over again. Everybody should actually buy this book. It's Dr. Oleg Jefimiko. It's Causality, Electromagnetic Induction.
So there's a copy of it online at the archive site. Did find that link. It's just a babbly book about religious crap. So it's just full of all this. The Bible says, the Quran says, this. It's just it's a book of religious mythology. It's nothing to do with reality.
Quotation. Also, if you want to know about the metaphysics, about metaphysics of time, both from the perspective of the Greeks, the Indians, and the Assyrians, and the Egyptians, an incredible book. You probably find a used copy of it for $5. It's been reprinted 100 times since the 1940s. I think it was first came out. It's called Time and Eternity by Dr. Anandakitish Kumaraswamy, or Dr. A.K. Kumaraswamy, C.O.
Yeah, right. So interesting. So right from the name, you're saying, "Oh, please, can't even." So anyway, yeah, that was the book. Just garbage.
Omaraswamy. You can find a cheap copy. Everybody should read that book and shut the hell up. Everybody. By the way, it'll also take an hour-long video, literally, to talk about this subject. But all ancient cultures, including the innate Fibonacci sequence, have also declared that time.
The ancient Fibonacci sequence, see all this bullshit, like somehow they have some evidence that any of this crap has anything to do with anything called physics. Like our real evidenced reality, the evidenced reality where we can just look at something and analyze it, that there's ever a Fibonacci sequence or some other horseshit in here. It's just bullshit. Fucking religious bullshit. This is what people eat.
This is number 4. We actually have monad, mind, magnitude, matter, and man. I just simply put man in there because it also starts with an M. Of course, it would be ontos, the monad, the agathon, mind, or nous.
So some more just babbly talk, like, we have to go back to the primitive languages. And for what? Why wouldn't you start just going, ugh, 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 ugh. There, did you get it? Did you understand how meaningful what I'm saying is? The ugh, 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 ugh. Fuck.
So it would be euristos, dia specifically. Magnitude, topos, place, matter or hyle, and of course being or ontos.
So just more mushy words. Magnitude, being, mushy, just silly nothing words. Have nothing to do with how brains work, how mechanically we function. Nothing to do with anything real in terms of a philosophy or a psychology or anything. It's just absolute mushy baby, wishy-washy. Why don't you talk about Tinkerbell? I mean, it's just Tinkerbell talk.
In the Fibonacci sequence, the first 5 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, there's one number significantly missing. And by the way, like I said, all ancient cultures, mystic metaphysics, intelligent people like Aristotle.
Right, all the intelligent people are numerologists and astrologists and, hopeologists. Sure they are.
Pythagoras, Plato, Plotinus, and many of Syrianus. I mean, people way smarter than you and me.
Yes, they're obviously smarter than you. But no, they didn't, again, hadn't even figured out running water.
Have all said the same thing. The time was the number 4. And the only number missing in the first 5 digits of the Fibonacci sequence actually is missing throughout the entirety.
So again, the number 4. So it is numerology. They think the numbers are special. Special mixture of the special numbers. Oh, I'm a special mixture of special numbers. Oh, there's just no hope.
Fibonacci sequence is the number for time. Anyway, let's go off the Fibonacci sequence, the first 5 numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Let's do that again. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. First 5 numbers.
Yes, it sounds like there's 1, 2 in there, which sort of makes sense. But otherwise, yes, just the odd numbers at the end. How special?
The only number missing is number 4. Time is not a thing. Time is exactly like a shadow. Time, of course, is a measure of magnitudes. And, of course, magnitude is...
So, again, just more... What is a measure of magnitude? I mean, again, just has nothing to do with, this chalk has magnitude. It's not just little elements and atoms stuck together. It's magnituding.
Due to only magnetism. By the way, this was my discovery. I very, very am proud of this, and of course I'll never be famous for this at all.
His discovery. He hasn't discovered anything. Just preposterous liar.
We've known now for, and I have to say this because someone will attack me, we've known that for decades. Like, no, not this part you didn't. We've known for decades, however, that whether they can see in color or not, that birds navigate...
Whether they can see in color or not. Okay, he just pointed it out.
Via magnetism. It's like, we knew that. We knew that...
Yes, that's true. They have fucking, iron in their brain, iron oxide, little bits of it.
We could actually, the experiments were done on birds. We'd actually put magnetic fields near their heads, and they'd send off homing pigeons, and they get all confused, they lose their way. Birds navigate...
Right, so they already knew that for a long time, that obviously they have a compass in their head. And they finally found the little tiny pieces of the compass material. There's nothing magical in any of this. We have it in our brains still. Doesn't mean anything. It's an old primitive resource. The compass isn't all that fucking important, and it's really not important when you don't migrate anywhere. Then you really don't need a compass. If all you do is walk around in your own yard, you don't need a fucking compass.
It via magnetism. But we didn't know how. And of course, no animal out there, even with their cryptochromes, and humans have cryptochromes. And you can look that up, by the way. Look up cryptochromes. It's not like some sort of weird nonsense. It's called cryptochromes. This is the reason why I'm very careful when I experiment over top of this gigantic monster magnet on the floor, this $1,000 monster magnet. It'll actually keep you awake for 2 days because the actual huge divergence.
Yes, well, you have lots of stuff inside of you. You have arsenic inside of you. You have lots of kinds of heavy metals inside of you. It's just a fact. Yes.
Magnetic field will keep you awake. Anyway, we know that birds navigate via magnetism, but it's not directly.
Yes, it's not magnetism. So again, yes, they're detecting a magnetic field with a compass, not magnetism. They're not sensing magnetism. They're using a piece of iron to detect where the magnetic field is, and they're actually detecting the angle of the magnetic field. That is the fact that the magnet is smaller essentially than the Earth itself. Okay, so as you get closer to the north side and further from the south side, the closeness means the needle points down, and they're detecting the downward motion. They're not really detecting the directionality, it's downness.
Indirectly. They actually see whether they can see in color or not. They'll actually see the phase shift.
All right, so more nonsense. There's no evidence of any phase shift, not a single piece of evidence anywhere on Earth that anyone has noticed light being phase shifted by magnetism. So he hasn't got any evidence for this nonsense. Just spouts it. And it's nonsense. There's no change in color from the magnetic effect. There's no evidence anywhere on Earth of that happening. He says this is his discovery. He didn't discover it with anything called evidence. You can't cite any evidence. But he gets away with this crap. He just makes this shit up. This is just made up nonsense. It's not fact.
Between the North Pole and the South Pole. By the way, the Earth's magnetic South Pole is in the geographic north, and the Earth's magnetic North Pole is in the geographic south. It also is true, of course, there's like 1,000 variables like genetics, environment, and poverty that affect human life, right? There's 1,000 variables that determine how
Right. And you were on the subject of birds.
long someone lives. And it's a proven fact that people live longer on the northern hemisphere.
Okay, so again, he says it. It says makes an assertion that somehow people live longer because they're somehow in the northern climates, which I don't think he has any evidence of that at all. The further north you go, the longer you live. I don't think so. Oh, what a pile of crap. I mean, it's just crap, absolute crap. He just makes this crap up.
Than they do in the southern hemisphere. If we eliminate all those hundreds of other variables that affect lifespan, genetics,
Genetics, biology, everything. And they're just magically. So I can take anybody on Earth, and I can, no matter what their genetics are, put them on the North Pole, and they live longer. You're nuts.
biology, environment, poverty, hospitals, you eliminate it, and then there's a lot of factors there. But that's a fact. This phase disparity is actually seen underneath the supercell.
So again, this phase disparity, there's no phase disparity. It's just a lie, okay? It's just a lie. You can't see it. It doesn't happen. It's not a real thing. It's not real physics. It's just completely made up crap that he's spouting. What else could you say? I mean, you could argue that maybe the more north you go, the less radiation you're getting exposed to because you have more magnetic field protecting you. But that's about the only argument you can make.
Too, if you just use a white light, you can also see it, and I've done this before. People are like, well, you're just looking at the LEDs. Like, no, I mean, I made a magnetic viewer just using sunlight.
Yes, going through little holes. So again, just lie some more about what you did. Okay, it's not just sunlight coming in. You know it. I know it. Why don't you tell the rest of the people? No, it's just like the LEDs. I made a lot of little holes that the light comes in, just like they were LEDs. So just lie some more, Ken.
It directs the sunlight into the edges of the supercell. You can actually see it as a phase disparity. You'll actually see a phase.
Yeah, so he keeps saying it. He won't show it. He doesn't demonstrate it. There's no evidence of it. He just says it. Look at it. It's the truth. Oh, I mean, don't look at it.
And when I look at using white light or even color lights at a magnet underneath the supercell, I can actually tell which side is the North Pole and which side is the South Pole, because there'll actually be rarefactions and compressions. So like, well, that's the South Pole right over there. In other words,
you keep saying you can do these things, and you don't demonstrate yourself doing them. You don't do any kind of real experiment showing how I have this magic ability to read cards, or to see inside people's brains, or whatever you're saying. You have this magic power. You don't demonstrate it to anyone.
these animals, the birds in particular, literally see a cast. Doesn't matter if it's in grayscale or in color, but they navigate via magnetism, not directly, but indirectly. So yes, time.
So yeah, they're not doing it based on color shifts. They're not doing it based on phase shifts of light, because frankly, the light's not being phase shift, you retard.
Is polarized, and this also, by the way, is the reason behind. It's called The Magnetic Blueprint of Life. It's a book by Rawls and Davis, and the other one is called Magnetic Currents of Life. I've got both these books. I forgot the title of the second one.
Yes, well, so more citation to erroneous material of unknown quality. Thank you.
Anyway, they did countless experiments on worms and chickens and animals and a lot of seed experiments, and I've got lots of videos showing seed experimentation.
Yes, and it's completely indecisive, frankly. It's only because you're hyping. Look at how much happier these sprouts are over here. These seem really depressed and really, they had a really bad day. Says you. Look, I shake these, shake them. Look, these are fluffier. Some experiment. Pathetic. Not that I'm arguing that magnetism clearly is going to fuck up seeds. A lot of seeds are magnetic. I can imagine you'll change how they'll fucking germinate if they're in a magnetic field. So what? It's just the part he hasn't demonstrated that it makes any difference whether you expose them to a North Pole or a South Pole. I mean, no evidence that he found any distinctions there. But again, they are different. I mean, there's no knocking it. I mean, in the sense that obviously protons are repelled by the South Pole and electrons are repelled by the North Pole. I mean, it's fundamentally different, so there might be some expectation that they would have a different effect on something being exposed to them. But he certainly hasn't done the clinical experiments demonstrating anything.
Okay? How it radically affects plant growth, specifically seed sprouts. I mean, radically.
I know. I mean, radically not. I mean, if you had radical results, then you'd show them right now. You'd show you these radical results, but you're not showing them because they're not so radical.
Someone contacted me last week because I didn't believe you and I did the experiment myself, and oh my god, you're so right. It's like, why doesn't everybody talk about this? This is huge.
Yeah, so more unsighted authorities. I agree. There's lots of people who agree with people when they say God is good. And somebody will agree with that. Does it mean something? No, it really doesn't mean anything.
I swear to God, there's not been a single effing TV show or documentary or anything on YouTube.
Yes, there has been. They had all kinds of shows. In Search of, some other stupid show. Lots of stupid, wacky shows made for silly imbeciles like you and your fucking audience, where they propagandized and basically lied and bullshitted about, look at these magical people, they can make watch hands turn and they can do this and they, seances, all kinds of silly stuff, just for silly fucks like you.
Where people are saying, if you actually used a polarized mass, i.e. a magnet, and you do seed experiment exposure, you get radically different results. Why the hell is nobody talking about that?
Because you don't get radically different results. That's why. If they were radically different, then we wouldn't have to worry about Monsanto genetically engineering and doing all this GMO and all this other crap. If there was this simple solution, let's just put a big magnet around our vat of, applesauce, and it makes it double applesauce. It makes it super applesauce. I mean, if you can make underdog super energy pills with just stick a magnet next to it, everybody be doing it, Ken. It'd be like Benjamin Franklin or something. See, unlike Benjamin Franklin, the shit you say is garbage. That's why no one's saying it. He said smart stuff like an apple a day will keep the doctor away. Yes. That's more true than any of the crap you're spouting, you silly fuck.
They literally make tomatoes more acidic or less acidic. Anyway, this video is about time and polarity.
Yeah, you haven't gotten to that subject. That's right. You just got completely off on a bizarre tangent because of your little wooey books.
But the reason for that is that the mass that is the magnet is, of course, polarized. And the mass is polarized. And by polarized mass, you end up with polarized time. So if you...
All right, so he says magnets control time. And they all fall for this shit.
Want to look at it in a kind of abstract fashion. What you're actually doing is you're doing time dilation or time constriction on seeds or plants while they're growing. The way these...
Yeah, so there's just no evidence of that. Now, there is evidence, I suppose, in some induction experiment. You could argue that magnetism can retard electricity, moving through a wire. So I suppose you could create a little bit of heat in our brains if you magnetize us and then try to look at our... Oh, yeah, that's right. We do that now. Yeah. But there's nothing. This is just bullshit.
Magnetic currents of specific polarity affect the seed growth in the animals and the worms. One of the most famous experiments, and I'm going to get some mealworms to test this. I've done lots and lots of seed experiments. They discovered this fact.
So he's read in the wacky book, okay, that somebody could move clocks with their hands, and so he's going to go get himself a clock and try to move it with his hands. Cool.
When they put a magnet next to a styrofoam cup that was full of dirt and there's some worms inside, and it was the North Pole was facing the worms, and the worms freaked out. Kind of like someone was playing loud death metal. They chewed their way out of the styrofoam cup and they plopped.
Worms can't chew their way out of a styrofoam cup, so that didn't happen. So he must be talking about mealworms, which are beetle grubs. Okay, now they can eat styrofoam.
Out the other side and died. And oh damn, this is interesting. And they did it again, exact same results, and they turned it to the South Pole. So instead of being irate, the worms were dancing and eating and all happy, and they were really happy.
So this is science. This is physics. Hilarious. So he thinks the South Pole is bad. South Pole make you crazy. No, North Pole make you crazy. South Pole make you happy. Didn't he just say it the other way around before? Yeah. That's interesting. You'll live longer, but you'll be crazy.
By polarizing the mass, and most people ignorantly can't tell you what the hell a magnet is. Like, what's a magnet? Well, it's got two fields, it's got a north pole here and stuff. It's like, no, what defines a magnet? Because
yes, it does define a magnet that the two sides do opposite things to charges, repel and attract in an opposite manner. That's the distinction of a magnet. Is one end appears to be polarized negative, and one appears to be polarized positive. That's simple, and they're smushed together. Dipole. The end.
what has changed is nothing to do with the quantity or the entity itself. It is a change in quality. In other words, it's changed in polarity. You're actually having to...
So it hasn't been changed in any way. It just happens to be magical. It's magically changed. Magically delicious. Keebler cookies and shit.
Entire thing operating as a single point source of the magnetic field instead of being completely incoherent. But coherency versus...
Yeah, so somehow the magnet is a coherent something or other. No, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference in the magnet is that all the atoms are lined up together and they're collectively increasing their effect, where the individual charge doesn't do that. And certainly the charge on a surface can't do that.
Incoherency is merely a posterior attribute. And this, of course, is no different than...
So whatever, a posterior attribute, which is something like, I guess, some emergent property that happens as an effect or something. I don't know. Posterior attribute. Jargon.
Talking about, 5-watt laser versus a 5-watt light bulb. 5 watts is 5 watts, right? Well, 5-watt laser being point source light.
Again, so more nonsense. The point source is actually the light bulb, okay? The laser is doing something different in the sense that it's not shooting light in all directions anymore. It's not from a point going in all directions, like a sun burning. So it's now lasing, which means it's coherent. The light is, it's rewarding light going in the right direction and punishing light going in the wrong direction. So the 5 watts is coming out in a tiny little beam, which is very different.
Also, coherent light, but coherency doesn't define the laser. What defines the laser is a point source emission.
So that's just nonsense. Again, it's exactly the opposite of how you would describe it in a physics context. A physics context means point source means one point, it radiates in all directions. That's point source.
We actually have polarization. Getting back to the topic of magnetism, the actual mass is polarized. And since the mass is
So again, that doesn't even mean anything. It's mush.
Polarized, time itself is polarized. Like I said, scientists call this electrokinematic effect. It's also called
There's no scientist that says those words, no.
Electromagnetic retardation when used in reference to other interactions. By the way, everybody should buy this book if I didn't tell you this already, which I know I already did. I'll show you the book on
Yeah, just keep, whatever, hyping this gibberish. I mean, you can always tell how great a book is when it has a cover that you say, what a 10-year-old did this? Fuck.
Think about it. To see exposure, we actually have polarized mass or polarizing time, as I said. I said also, too, my discovery is that we knew birds navigated via magnetism, but how? Well, it's not directly. They can't see the magnetic fields. No creature can see a magnetic field. What they're operating on is the effect of the polarized magnetic field upon the light itself. When you actually look at a...
So again, he's making an assertion for which there's no scientific evidence. The bird can be blind. Okay, I'm sure they've done this experiment. It can be blind, and it, sees. I mean, I'm just saying, clearly what it's detecting isn't a vision. Okay, it's a sense, like smell. It's sensing the magnetic field. It's not seeing it. It's not seeing color changes. It's not seeing, oh, it's blue that way. That isn't happening.
A magnet underneath the supercell, you'll actually see rarefaction compression. It is rarefied on the North Pole and compressed on the South Pole at a rate of 1:5, which, by the way, that is the golden ratio.
So he just made up more nonsense that doesn't mean anything. Golden ratio just has to do with a spiral. It doesn't mean anything.
Huh? When you actually say golden ratio, people think they know what the golden ratio is, and nobody has any idea what the golden ratio is. So what's the golden ratio? It's like, well, that's the symmetry and beauty and spirals and this. No, that's a description. That's not an explanation. What is the golden ratio? What's the ratio or proportionality of one to itself? It's the extrinsic...
So more absolute just gibberish. Obviously, you don't get somewhere doing 1 to itself. So it's, again, just gibberish.
Manifestation of the...
Oh, it's extra little commercial. So Ken has to get some money for talking shit.
How did you find such a cool place to stay?
The one in reflection in a greater growing detail that is in coherence with and proportional to itself. A ratio is, of course, a proportionality of one thing to another. The golden ratio is a proportionality of 1 to itself.
No, it isn't. Just say, obviously it's not. There's no 1 can't do anything. Oneing won't get it anywhere.
Yeah, this is the reason why the Fibonacci sequence goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Anyway, that would take several videos to explain that.
Yeah, it'll take forever because you'll never explain it. You'll just talk gobbledygook, gobbledygook, gobbledygook.
But anyway, in speeding things up, of course, we actually undergo time dilation. Going faster. And of course, we call this electrokinetic effect. It doesn't really say anything. I mean, that's a great scientific explanation, and it's empirically accurate. But what is
No, it's not. It's obviously horseshit.
actually going on? I'm interested only not in accurate descriptions, and this is what these scientists always want to argue with me. So, what does the math work? It's like, I'm not interested in the accuracy of the math. I know it works.
Oh, yeah, right. You're not interested in the accuracy of anything. It's the truth. You don't care about the truth. It just gets in your way.
The math doesn't explain anything. I actually want to know what the hell's going on. For example,
I would agree that math doesn't. It's not a causal explanation. It doesn't say who did what where. It's just pointing out that there's variables that cause effects, that effects are a consequence of a previous condition. And some of those previous conditions we can know, and we can formalize what you're going to get as a result from those previous conditions. But that's all it's doing. It's not explaining it.
There's like a thousand parallels. Like if you speed up your boat, you'll actually glide across the water faster. If you have a bunch of speed bumps in a row, if you go really fast, and this has been proven I think on MythBusters, you'll actually barely feel the speed bumps because you'll float over top of them. And it's the fact that the faster you travel.
So again, this has something to do with all this metaphysical crap. The physical fact that you can, lift something up by elevating it, and therefore it can't hit the other bumps, is hardly magical. I mean, the fact that you can have an air layer under something and you don't have less friction isn't miraculous. None of that is metaphysics. That's real physics.
The more time dilates. Time is polarized. I mean, everything is ultimately dielectric and magnetic. But when we talk about
time is polarized. I mean, again, it's just baby talk. Polarized how? I mean, there's a past and there's a future, but how is that analogizable to anything like polarization? It's just not. Because it has 2 different ends. I have a top end and a bottom end, feet and a head. That means I'm polarized. I mean, it's just turning the word into mush.
Time doesn't exist. It is only a measure. And since time is only a measure of magnitudes, and therefore it's only a measure, the measure is relevant to mass. But mass is only extant because of magnetism. Let's get this...
I won't even try to figure out what that was.
Correct here. Use retroduction to work backwards to define time. Time is only a measure of magnitudes. Magnitudes is only a definition of a mass. And a mass is only the definition of the manifestation of a divergent centrifugal magnetic field, i.e. the creation of mass and magnitude. This is where, when this is present, that is...
The creation of mass and magnitude by the this and the that law. When this is this, this will do that, means that is that. So when you're a this, that is a that. And when you're a that is a this.
Present time is manifestation of the manifestation of mass. Say mass and magnitude is a distinction.
Yes, without a difference. That's right. A silly bunch of gobbledygook. The magnitude of the mass magnituding, or the mass mass
thinking about 10 things at once, and the 10 things at once actually drop into a knot in my brain. I work backwards from the knot. I was trying to think actually of a perfect analogy for time. There's a lot of them, like, if you take a super sharp knife and you cut through something slowly, you'll create a lot of friction and drag, which is what we normally conventionally consider a normal time. If we cut through something extremely quickly with the exact same super sharp knife, there'll be almost no disturbance.
So again, there's plenty of disturbance. It's just that when the disturbance is radical, so it's like taking a bomb. Like, you can't get through the line at the shopping mart or whatever, the donut factory that you go to get your wholesale donuts. and you can't get through the line, so you throw a bomb in there. It efficiently eliminates the line, and you can walk through really fast.
The same is true of time. We're actually able to undergo more time by speeding up. Cognite electricity net.
So again, that makes a lot of sense. You can have more. Yes, you can have a longer life if you don't go to sleep. Just a fact.
Kinematic effect, while accurate, doesn't actually correctly define what's going on. But in essence, of course, speed, the faster you go, decreases time. You're actually undergoing time dilation. Does this mean time travel is possible?
So again, just more absolute nonsense. That's right. If you don't waste time, then you'll have more time. So if you eliminate some steps, if you have some idiotic steps you go through that just waste your time, certain places you might have to take your shoes off every time you come in the house or something, some kind of bizarre, stupid ritual like that. And if you live in one of those places, you just realize, oh, look how much of my life I'm wasting taking my shoes on and off. Fucking idiots.
Forward, so yes. You can never set foot in the same waters twice. You can't actually go back in time that way. You can only dilate time and experience less time if you're actually able to go super, super fast. Obviously, you will age really slowly. You're dilating the time around you, which is only to measure magnitudes. But time is polarized. And this is the reason why the seed experiments and animal experiments work. I've done this.
Yeah, I've done it. I've proved it. No, you didn't do any of that, Ken.
Experiments over and over and over again on YouTube. I've shown you how to do it, and people that have duplicated it say, yeah, oh my god, this crap works. Oh my god. Rawls and Davis did countless experiments on chickens and worms and all sorts of things. It's time dilation, because you actually have a polarized mass. Normal mass, just like...
Time dilation. Like I say, I'm not saying it's not possible that you can't have an effect on some organism by putting it in a magnetic field, but let's understand it. This guy hasn't proven anything.
The Earth or the Moon or anything. It's not polarized. Of course, we actually have the Earth's magnetic magnetosphere, of course, but the mass itself is not polarized. It is very, very so weakly, but it is not like a super polarized. I mean, the dirt in it.
Amazing. So I don't even want to know why he's even going there, but the one thing that you could argue might be polarized is obviously the Earth, in the sense that it does produce a magnetic field and it does switch and all that kind of crap, but it does produce it for hundreds of thousands of years at a time.
The normal stuff that's making it 99% of the Earth is not polarized. The only thing we're talking about being polarized is the Earth's magnetic core and magnetosphere actually around the Earth. So we don't actually experience...
And everything that is capable of being affected by magnetism would end up polarized, in the sense that it would end up aligning with the magnetic field. So again, he doesn't even get that right. There's giant hunks of the Earth, where the compass needle goes the wrong way because the Earth hunks of it are magnetized.
Polarized time. If we did, then people would rapidly age in the southern hemisphere and rapidly live long lives. They would live much, much longer lives in the northern hemisphere. But yeah, time can be polarized. This doesn't mean time travel.
So just more, like I say, statistical nonsense. There's absolutely no evidence that he's been able to separate all the factors that you might use to decide whether people are living longer because they live better. It's just nonsense.
It was possible, but it gives no credence or a possibility for reverse time travel, because you can't set foot in the waters, the same waters twice. The old parable of standing in a flowing stream, you can never set foot in the same waters.
But you can skip over it, though, somehow. Can't go backwards, but you can somehow skip over the future.
Twice, which of course is true of time.
And I would argue, yeah, you can if you get cryogenically frozen.
The time is only this measure. Time actually does not exist at all. But for the conventionality of...
So again, it obviously exists. There's obvious rules in the universe dictating the procedure of things. A, then B, then C.
As pathetic human beings who are made of mass and magnitude, we of course experience time. But time ultimately does not exist at all. It is not like an entity in the sock drawer of Mother Nature. Mother Nature doesn't have a sock drawer or underwear.
Yeah, it has to have an entity for you to say it's polarized. So again, it doesn't make any sense. So he's back to Tesla gibberish. It has attributes, but it doesn't have any properties. Yeah, whatever.
Drawer. What would matter be? Matter would be the thongs. And time does not exist in the sock drawer of the cosmic mechanics. It just does not. Time, of course.
Yes, time doesn't exist, and obviously things that don't exist can't be polarized. So the title of your video is complete nonsense. Yes, I agree.
is necessary both for life and measure of life, and of course, ether torsion necessitates a temporal torsion. This is the only way an AC generator works.
More nonsense. Temporal torsion.
By the way. Anyway, I wanted this to make a short video. Was this a short video? I might have actually flapped my lips a bit too long here. I wanted this to be a short video, but a lot of people like.
Yeah, you didn't say anything, so it was short in the content. Content-wise, very short video.
Asked me recently about time, but time does not exist. Conventionally it exists, but ultimately time absolutely does not exist whatsoever.
Well, again, so it doesn't make any sense. Time is not a substance. Time isn't a physical thing. It's a function. It's like movement. Okay? Movement doesn't exist as a thing. It's not a thing. Things can move. There you go. So that's all it is. Time is like movement. It's something happening, but it's not something that is.
If you'd like me to talk a lot deeper on this topic, just let me know. By the way, everybody should buy this book, as I already told you. You can get it on Amazon. I think I'm holding it up long enough so someone can actually see it. This is my second copy. My first copy I still have. It's like stitched together with lots and lots of clear tape because it's fallen the hell apart.
Yeah, so excited.
Thank you so much for watching. Большое спасибо за всем Russia. И увидимся. Hasta luego. Catch you later, as they say out in California. And thank you so much. Goodbye.
Yeah. Fucking. Such bullshit. Piles and piles of shit. So let's go find some of the comments. Let's see. I got to work late yesterday. When my boss asked me why I wasn't on time, I informed them that time was only a refraction of the conceptualization of magnitude. Now it's time for me to get a new job. That's funny. I'm sorry, but if you want to talk about the nature of time, you're going to need to wear a Yoda robe. Oh, well, let's not do this by popularity thing. Newest first, thank you. The greater the magnetism, the faster the tick. The greater the battle in magnetism, the faster the trick. Oh, it's just more poetry. Oh, fuck. I love listening to this drivel. Say it as clearly as you can, and maybe I'll grok it someday. Thanks. Why is it best to sleep head facing south? Sleeping head north creates ridiculous anxiety. It's more science. There's experiments they've done. As long as infinity is believed, then time is meaningless. Ever? Process is meaningless. Well, how is that possible? Anyway, how would it make any difference? Infinite or not infinite? You're just not going to pay any attention to the fact that it actually happens in a procedure. Event A, B, C, D, they follow each other. A specific cannot exist in something that has no boundaries. Why? Who wrote that kind of nutty rule? So if you have a whole bunch of something, somehow the something doesn't have any identity anymore? I mean, it's so stupid. Well, there's no point in reading it. It's just too stupid. It is the boundary that gives something location. No, it really doesn't. I mean, obviously, your location can be relative to other stuff you're located with. You don't have to know what country you're in to know that you're not in New York City. You can figure it out. What an idiot. Oh, thank you. Oh, I do hope that you know how wonderful you are. Aloha. Einstein's all over the place. North is subjective. I maintain that they paint all the south poles on the magnets red and put ends on them, and that the magnetic north pole and Earth is actually north, true north. It's a conspiracy. Well, whatever. Thanks, Ken. That was great. So again, somehow this absolute rubbish, gibberish, nonsense can mean something to people, except a statement about how we're so fucking doomed. The idiocracy is spreading. This guy is a fucking brain virus. I'm not thinking polarized H2O in the atmosphere. I'm now thinking polarized H2O in the atmosphere above the source. Distorting Earth's magnetics is like a beacon to them. So just more nonsense. Just keep making up crap. Can life be... Yeah, might as well. This isn't been much fun. Ah, another completely illegal phone call. Yeah, that they don't fix. Ah, funny. Yeah. Anyway. Can life be extended wearing magnetic bracelets? Is this a possibility? Yes. Try it. Time passes quickly while watching this. Whatever. What are your thoughts on the Mandela effect? I don't know what that means. Time is an emotion. Oh, fuck. I think some point you should stop the popularization, oversimplification, and easy talk and dive into some deeper explanations. Yeah, whatever that deeper, you can't do the shallow right. He can't describe brick, and you want him to describe something like Donald Duck. It ain't gonna happen. All right, well, whatever. It's just idiots, 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 idiot, 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 moron, idiot, idiot, retard, moron, idiot, idiot, moron. Yeah, it just goes on and on. Anyway, enough. Ugh. Yuck. So till next time, such and so forth. Should have skipped this day. Just should have skipped. should have taken my little stone and skipped over the time that today is going to occupy. But anyway, I didn't. So shit. I missed my opportunity. Maybe next time I'll skip it.